Welcome to the Shaw Consulting 3-Question podcast for insights into the latest technologies impacting social housing. In these podcasts, we ask 3 questions about a technology that is going to dramatically change the way organizations operate. In today's episode, we're diving into an exciting and increasingly relevant topic, the world of generative AI. With us is Shaw MD Chris Shaw. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Steve.
Thanks for joining us, Chris. It's great to have you with us. So let's start with our first question of 3 then. What exactly is generative AI?
Yeah, generative AI, short for generative artificial intelligence, is sort of a branch of AI that deals with creating new content. And this content, it can be anything really, from text and images to music and even video. So, these generative AI models are trained on massive data sets of existing content, and that allows them to learn those underlying patterns and relationships. And they can then use all of that knowledge to then generate these new pieces of content that are similar to the data they were trained on.
Okay, sounds pretty powerful stuff. And I guess it kind of leads directly onto the sensible second question, which would be, what impact do you think this type of technology could have in social housing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess, social housing providers can leverage generative AI in a few interesting ways to improve efficiency, tenant experience and, their overall operations. There's a few examples here. They could use it to enhance their tenant communication. They could use generative AI with chatbots, which we've discussed previously, to answer frequently asked questions. And that could be on any topic that, that a housing provider, deals with on a day-to-day basis that they might be answering over the phone. These chatbots can be available 24/7, freeing up staff time and offering the tenants a convenient way to get information. Another option is, personalizing their tenant outreach. So AI can analyze tenant data, understand those tenants' needs and their preferences. And that can allow social housing providers to, personalize those outreach efforts, making sure that what they're sending out is targeted, it's relevant, and, it's informing tenants about upcoming events. When we think about how many reports people are creating and how much effort goes into creating those reports, or even, just summarizing those reports, you can use generative AI to automate the creation of those reports, automate the summarizing of that data. You might have created something already, but you're struggling to summarize that effectively. And that's something that it can be, really good at doing and, freeing up that time that it might take for some people to think about how they actually would present it in the first place. There's many places it can be used. You could use it to more effectively advertise your properties that you've got vacant. Use it to create better property descriptions or highlighting maybe some of those unique features of that property and ensure then it's targeted correctly to the right audience. And I guess, well, not finally, but just as a final example, you could potentially use it to model many of your different development options. And that could bring in data around the, potential rent that you could charge in a particular area, the demographics of, people that live in that particular area, bringing in maintenance costs and things like this to put together maybe a compelling development option for a piece of land that you might have in an area that you're hoping to build on.
Okay, thanks, Chris. It sounds like there's, just to be a layman, that there's plenty of scope there, but how relevant do you think this technology is for social housing today?
I think it's really relevant, Steve. I'm sure many employees in social housing providers are already using the technology to help them develop content for reports, improve existing content, or, like I mentioned earlier, just using it to generate ideas. I think it's important to remember that it is evolving, constantly. And while it holds, some great promise, social housing providers should implement it in a strategic way, considering, all those factors around data privacy, ensuring that what it is developing or creating is equitable and it's focused on all tenants' needs. So I think there's some real good opportunity for housing providers to use the technology to the benefit of their day-to-day operations.
Great, thanks, Chris. So that's our 3 questions on generative AI in social housing. A huge thank you to you, Chris Shaw, for joining us today and sharing your expertise. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We hope you found this episode thought-provoking, and keep checking our social media feeds for more episodes soon.